something to do with what we started with, boundaries. How do you
Yes.
define what a boundary is?
So, uh, to help the listeners better understand and just to kind of give it a casual meaning to it, it's to protect our peace, to protect our peace. Let's just put it that way. And separate from what standards are, right? I think some people kind of confuse that to what those are, right?
Yep.
And boundaries are not walls, but to put it simply, they're a kind of set of rules per se, but to protect our peace really is how I like to explain it. So
Mm.
and you can use that assertively and gently and respectfully in conversation if you know what they are. So to sit back and reflect and understand what your boundaries are, because everyone's boundaries are different. So and now how know how to communicate that effectively, right? So the words boundaries and the word assertive kind of have a bad rap. So that's something I'd like to discuss further into our
Mm.
conversation with that as well.
And I believe that many of us are hesitant to put these boundaries up because they feel guilty. They're doing it for themselves. You bring it
Mhm.
back a memory, and it was about a year and 3 months ago. I left here and I had another meeting, and it was about like 5 o'clock. I had a meeting after, so I had a
Uh-huh.
little bit of time. So there's
Uh-huh.
a little tiny airport by here. So I'm like, all right, let me grab something to eat. I'm going to sit there at the airport. Maybe I'll see a plane take off. But it was just a beautiful day. The windows down, a breeze coming through my car, dashboard dining a little bit,
Uh-huh.
and my phone rings. And I knew who it was, somebody I'm very close to, love them, but I know what to expect. And it's going to be it's going to be a call with some negativity and an issue, and I'm always there for everybody. And it was at
Right.
that moment I said, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm
Right.
not. This is my time. I did take the call just because I felt I needed to at the moment, but then that was I guess you get pushed to the edge. That was my moment. I was like, I ain't having it anymore. I'm putting up boundaries.
Absolutely.
This is it. This is in my mind. And it doesn't happen overnight. The boundaries, it's almost like a cement wall. You start building them up to a point, or
Correct.
or maybe like
Correct.
the window in your car. You press the button. All right, I'm going to bring the boundary down and back up again. Um, yeah, but that was the moment. Like, I was like, what the blank is? I'm not doing that. I'm not.
Absolutely. Yes, you hit the nail on the head, Steve. And I think that's for all of us, right? And so for me, with respect to boundaries, I grew up thinking that it was just something that was done on the soccer field. I never understood the true definition of what that meant. And you said a key word also, which was time, right?
Mm,
It's time. I don't like it when people waste my time. I don't like wasting my own time. I don't like, and there are a lot of little pieces into that, right? And again, boundaries, just like being on the soccer field, there takes this practice. There's this practice, right? These little lessons in life, whether it be with that same relationship or different relationships, but they're all teaching us the same thing, right? And it's these little aha moments, like you were just expressing, where we're like, why did I do that again to myself? Why did I allow that?
yeah.
Right. And it sneaks up on you so fast.
All right.
And sometimes it takes years, sometimes it takes just a couple of times or a couple of moments with that same situation or person or whatever. And then you finally have this aha moment and you realize it's really just kind of sucking the energy out of you and it's just too much. So everything in moderation, right? And like you said,
Mhm.
you kind of know, like there's this certain person or this thing or this conversation. You're like, okay, here it comes, and I don't want to completely disregard this person, but I can assertively know how to end this conversation, right?
Yeah. So
And
I didn't have to answer the phone, and I did the last time there. But I still am available to help this person,
yeah,
but now it's on my terms, as
correct.
opposed to just, oh, call coming in, got to answer it out of guilt, out of
Sure.
guilt. And I think, and I want your feedback on this.
Uh-huh.
No is a complete sentence.
Oh, I love it. And it's and how many times have you tried this, Steve? And let the listeners try this too. Um, so many people feel guilty saying that.
Oh yeah.
Feel like they're a bad person and the guilt behind it. And to use your tone to just say, no, or no, thank you, and to pause and breathe and just watch their response or allow their response to come through. You would be very surprised. So I have done that before, very surprised to see the either response or reaction. Because
And
those are two.
or another R, respect.
There you go.
Even respect for yourself at that moment.
Correct. Absolutely. And it is such an empowering moment when you're able to do that for yourself.
Yeah.
And for those that, and I heard this word as you were talking just now, codependency, AKA people pleasers, right? And this, which is why it's so hard for most people who are not used to asserting themselves or even used to having boundaries in their life, right? And implementing that or simply using the word no, it's quite frankly because they are codependent and they were people pleasers. Most of the time, it's due to the fact of their upbringing, almost every time, 100% of the time, right? And it's habitual. And so, unfortunately, what happens in that case is that we end up hurting ourselves. And with respect to that, we end up hurting our relationships because either there's a buildup and we get tired of it and we blow up, or we just kind of end it and we avoid it altogether. And neither is a healthy way to go about it. So
Let's go there on the people pleasing front because I feel that that's a big reason why we don't put up boundaries. But how about some examples? I already know my own. I've already figured that out. But how about some examples of why we, from our childhood, why
sure.
we become people pleasers as adults?
Okay, great question. I can answer that from my own personal experience and from what I have heard from others in their own personal experience. And almost every time it's because of childhood abuse. And whether that be verbal, emotional, sexual, whatever it is, mental, it's because you're in a home or an upbringing that does not allow you to have a voice, period, really is what it comes down to. It's just the do only speak when you're spoken to, please and thank yous, and I mentioned this in my book as well, the I am within. But it's the upbringing, and it becomes it's embedded in your subconscious, which is where the I am is very helpful as well, because that helps reprogram the subconscious as well. And but it's the upbringing, and you're been programmed to do that, so you're the people pleaser pretty
Mm,
much your whole life until you become aware. That's the first step. And in that awareness, you take the initiative and the courage to go ahead and make things different and change and for the better. Yeah.
completely. Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah.
And is it true that many of us, if not most of us, maybe all of us, to some degree feel that we're not good enough?
Yes. Period.
Yeah. Complete sentence right there. Uh, and that also fuels the people pleasing thing,
Yep.
but to different levels. And if you,
Mm-hmm.
why are we not good enough? Well,
Uh-huh.
just because of, for me, got bullied as a kid. I was the fat kid. Didn't get picked for dodgeball.
Sure.
And that's just a piece of it. Not that it was a bad
Sure.
childhood, but there was stuff.
Right.
And that's going to be in there. And because of that, I became that people pleaser
Mm-hmm.
because you want, oh, people who like me. So I'm going to say yes. I'm going to do this for you. I'm
Right.
going to do that. I got this. I got that.
Sure.
Takes time. You figure it out.
Uh-huh.
You reframe it. And then you're very careful in terms of when you say yes.
Yes, absolutely. And so what you're speaking of, that's a great point too, Steve, is that, maybe some of us weren't brought up in an abusive home. You give a great example, right? It's, bullying, for example. And the bottom line to that is we all want to be loved, right? And so it's a part of life. And then it starts from childhood, whether it be in your home, whether there was trauma in the home or not, or it was, on the school grounds to some degree. There's something there where we have a sense of rejection, right? Whether it be at home or at school or wherever. And there's this thing that triggers us, right? We could talk about triggers on either in this show or another show, but
Oh, yeah.
that's a whole nother thing in itself that's connected to this, that branches off from boundaries, right? And so right away there's this little switch that goes off in us when we sense this, oh, you don't love me, there's this rejection, and immediately go into, well, how do you fix that? How do you soothe that? In order to
Uh,
soothe that, let me please you. How do I please you? Let me just, and it just kind of stems from there, and it's all
hmm.
because we want to be loved, right? And but we're looking for it in the wrong places through other people and situations. We don't understand that as children. We don't understand that until we understand what boundaries are. If you're growing up in a home that says, okay, kids, this is what boundaries are. Uh, I would say probably 95% of the world are not brought up in homes that where the parents are saying specifically, these are boundaries, I want to teach them to you, because it's just one
Oh,
generation
never.
after the other,
Oh,
right?
no, no.
Yeah.
Like that word doesn't. When I could never even picture my parents even those words coming out.
No.
Like I don't know if it's generational or yeah, even now.
Right.
Well, I'm different now. I would say to my kids, if needed,
Sure.
explain the boundary thing, but they're teens, so it's different. Um,
Correct.
what do we do when somebody asks us to do something for something? Right away inside, you're like, no, I don't want to do that. No, no.
Mhm.
Like,
Mhm.
hey, can you help me move on Saturday at 7:30 a.m.?
Mhm.
And yeah, you want to help, but you have other stuff going on. You
Uh-huh.
know there's other people to help them. Inside, it's saying, no, not this time. No, no. Yeah, I'll be there. You want me to bring coffee and bagels? Yeah, let's get this done. All right.
Uh-huh.
In that moment, you knew you shouldn't have said yes. How do we process that? What do we
It,
do? What should we say to ourselves? Yeah, it's easy for us here to say, well, just say no.
right.
But how do we process that so it gets easier to finally feel comfortable saying no?
Yes. So you're saying after we have said yes to the person already, or in the situation where you want to say no and you don't know how to have that courage to do so,
Yeah, you're at that point in your life where you identify, that's not what I want to do.
right?
Then how do you either get the courage or how do you
Right.
process it so you can say no?
Sure. So it's a gradual process and it's a practice, like we mentioned earlier in the conversation. When you hear about boundaries and you kind of read, okay, what's that look like? And how do I say it? And what are some examples? And you put your search engine down and you're like, okay, next situation that comes, I'm going to go ahead and just verbatim, I'm going to do it. It doesn't work like that. It's an ebb and flow and it's a practice. So for example, this situation happens and someone's asking you to help them move on Saturday at 7:30 in the morning or whatever. And you want to say no, but you don't know how. So maybe at first it'll be, you know what? And you might stumble through it, right? I'm not comfortable with that, or I have other plans, and maybe next time, or I could probably help you for an hour, but I have to really do a hard stop at this time. And sorry.
Mm.
And but we don't have to apologize. And that's something that I've realized too. That was very hard for me to do, right? Depending on the circumstance and situation, but a lot of times we don't need to apologize. We don't need to. It's okay.
Thank you for
Um,
bringing that up because I completely forgot about that. Um, like the Elton John song, sorry seems to be the hardest word. You
yeah.
don't you don't have to use it. It's okay.
Sure.
Um, should we, when that moment comes up and you want to say no and you're on the fence there, you know that you should say no. Should we think internally and say, You're better than that in that you want to help them? Is there a way? What's the language we should use within to help us find that courage to make it comfortable?
Hmm. Well, I think certainly that it's circumstantial. Let's start there because I don't want to confuse our listeners, right? To say no all the time just because you don't want to do something, right?
Sure.
Certainly reflect on the relationship and the situation and your calendar and take that into regard. For some people, they may have something in their calendar and they're saying yes to that person and they're going to move that thing in their calendar. That was the old Tiffany. That would be that just so that I could people please, right? Um, but back to your question in regards to, I think it's what you're asking me is how to find that courage, right?
Or if there's
to
language you should say to yourself, or how do
yeah.
you reframe it so now you put it
It
on you?
yeah. It's simply it's okay. It's okay, Tiffany, to do that. Take a deep breath. I pause, breathe,
Mm,
and reset. Because that is typically done, right? The people pleaser and the codependent. And we'll talk about this too, either now or in another conversation, but we are in fight or flight, right? The sympathetic nervous system, and we react instead of respond. So
ah,
pause, take a deep breath, think about your inner peace for a moment, and think to yourself, you know, am I people pleasing right now? Is this, is this exerting my inner peace and my energy? Um, and you know, truly it's simple, and it doesn't sound simple, and it doesn't feel simple, but once you get used to that practice and you just say to yourself, you know what, let's just pause for a second here, and this isn't going to work for me. I'm not just going to drop everything, and I can't fit this into my schedule just because
I want
to
to. I can I ask this question because it's like firing in my mind right now.
sure.
Is it okay to say to yourself when you're asked to do something, and before you're in within before
Uh-huh.
you've said to yourself, I don't want to do it.
Uh-huh.
Is it okay to say to yourself, well, what's in it for me? Now, where am I going with that?
Yeah.
I was asked to move, hypothetical here.
Uh-huh.
Tomorrow morning at 7:30. What's in it for me in that I'll feel good helping them move. So there's something in it for me.
Ah,
Um, I haven't seen them in a long time. It'll be good to see them, and I'm going to also help them move. That's something for me. When
sure.
you arrive at that situation and you're like, I'm blank and tired. I have other things going on here, and then
Uh-huh.
you come up empty. There's nothing in it for me. Is that okay, or is that
Yes.
kind of dirty to think that?
You know what? It is okay to a degree, but at the same time, too, when I hear those words initially, I think, okay, that's a little selfish,
That's
right?
where yeah, and that's where I'm trying to
Yeah,
process that.
right. That's a little selfish. However, again, it's circumstantial, and you're connecting all these little pieces too. Is it selfish because you've got something else going on? Is it selfish because you have nothing else going on and all you need is just your me time that morning? No, it is not selfish at
That's where I'm going
all.
with that.
Um,
That's where
right,
I'm going.
sure. And you know what? And if you literally have nothing in your calendar that day and they ask you to help them move, and you can say, you know what, I would really love to. But I truly have devoted this time. I have nothing else going on other than the fact that I need my space and to conserve my energy. So I hope that you can respect that.
Or
And
don't even say that and just go back to, square one. No, because it's okay.
sure.
Tiffany, how did you get to this point where you help people navigate life, relationships, and so much more?
Mhm. Um, it was a gradual process, and it started with my own personal healing, right? Um, a lot of bad relationships, and the background and the foundation of all that stemmed from the trauma in childhood abuse, right? And not being able to have a voice. Literally, I was not able to speak unless spoken to for the most part, and certainly not give my opinion. God forbid.
Mm.
I get my opinion on something. Um, so yeah, not having the voice and just being the people pleaser, say, yes, please, thank you. And pretty much that's it. So my whole life, not having a voice, not speaking up for myself, not saying that's wrong. Don't do that, Dad. Stop. And just having to completely hold that in and be silent my whole life going into my adulthood and relationship after relationship, I was still programmed that way, right? So having these relationships with these men, which I gravitated towards because that love wasn't there growing up. So I immediately attached, and we'll talk about attachment styles too on another show as well. And there are four kinds: the anxious, the fearful, the avoidant, and the secure. We all want to get to secure, and you are far from it if you're growing up in an abusive and you're codependent and people pleaser. So that again, that's a gradual process. But Long story short, I became a relationship coach. For me, I had zero intentions of actually becoming a coach and getting clients. No way did I ever think that that was going to be my future. No way did I ever think I'd be on a podcast talking about it. So much of my life and my personal life and growing up, I thought I would take it to the grave.
Mm,
Um, and uh, so yes, I finally got so sick and tired of myself. To be honest with you, I got sick and tired of myself, and sick and tired of just pleasing and pleasing and pleasing and pleasing and seeing the same old patterns in my relationships, and then seeing like what is wrong with all these men that I keep pulling into my life. Why they're all the damn same. Excuse me for my language, but they're all the same. And I'm like, finally, I realized, no, you know what? There's this link here, and that's not the same, and it's me, and I need to fix me. So I went and got the education to do it, threw the certificate, off to the side, think I'll never do anything with it again. A few years went by, and having casual conversations with family and friends who would come to me just naturally, organically, with their own problems. At the end of the conversation, they would say, why aren't you doing something with this knowledge and actually, becoming a coach? So, they were little baby steps into it. So here I am, and
wow.
I'm very passionate about it. Very passionate. I feel truly that boundaries need to be implemented into the school system as a curriculum.
I agree.
100%. Yeah.
Mm. Yeah.
I feel that our our divorce rate will certainly be down. Our relationships overall, whether it be personal or professional, will be more well-rounded and healthier if that's implemented. So,
I'm right there on your page. And also, maybe therapy before we engage in serious relationships. Because once you figure it out, and you
uh,
did, and I don't minimize anything ever, but your situation is an example of all of us. What
yep,
happened, when we talk about childhood and how
sure,
we navigate as adults.
yep.
My story is different, your story is different, but the overall story is the same. And that's why we make these choices. We're out of time. I can just keep going.
Oh, shoot.
It's like there's so much to talk about. And
Absolutely. I would love to continue on because there is a piece there that you had mentioned with respect to going on from relationship to relationship. So we'll talk about the snowball effect.
oh my gosh.
Okay.
Or
Yeah.
why these people show up in your life and why
Ah,
so many of us, you're classic. I mean, on the male side, my
right.
friends, one in particular, and sometimes I agree with them. I shouldn't, but it's like women are crazy.
Right.
No, the ones that are showing up are crazy. But why are they showing up?
We're allowing it.
We're
There's
allowing
a
it.
big piece of us in here. Right.
Yeah, yeah, and
Mhm.
we're doing it unknowingly, subconsciously, to help us feel better
Sure. And
because of childhood.
right,
Yeah.
right. We can't fix them. We can only fix us.
Yep.
So, yeah.
Tiffany, how do we connect with you, even just to start a conversation on a coaching level,
Sure.
just to learn about all this stuff?
Absolutely. Well, you can reach me on Instagram at Tiff, Tiff, Aquino, Aquino, coaching. Or you can reach out to me at Tiffany Aquino coaching at gmail.com.
And your website?
Is TiffanyAquinoCoaching.com.
Perfect. Wonderful having you on here. This is fundamental, but this is
Yes.
stuff that most of us don't know about, and
Sure.
it's the secret to a happy future. Thank you for
Absolutely.
today. Looking forward to getting together. We had a lot to talk about.
Likewise, we sure do. Thank you,
Yep.
Steve, for your time. I appreciate it. It was fun.
Likewise. We'll be right back.
Hi, it's Tiffany, Coach Tiffany. I just wanted to say hello and thank you to all of my subscribers out there. Thank you for subscribing, and don't forget to hit the like button. It really means a lot and I appreciate your support. Also, if there's anything that you want me to cover or create in any kind of content, please feel free to go ahead and comment below. Thanks again. Have a great day.